not to sacrifice any of their children to the god. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, any Israelite or any alien living in Israel who gives any of his children to Molech must be put to death. The people of the community are to stone him. I will set my face against the man, and I will cut him off from his people. For by giving his children to Molech, he has defiled my sanctuary and profaned my holy name. If the people of the community close their eyes when that man gives one of his children Molech and they fail to put him to death, I will set my face against that man and his family and will cut off from them the people, both him and all who follow him, in prostituting themselves to Molech. So what does that tell you about God's attitude toward sacrificing your own children, toward killing your own children? Now, it doesn't mention abortion, but I think there's a pretty clear reference here. The penalty for sacrifice to Molech is harsh. Stoning to death. That's in Leviticus 20. And he says it's because it's a serious offense against God. It defiled God's sanctuary, Leviticus 20, verse 3. Since his holy presence cannot abide in the place polluted by sin, it threatens abandonment by God of his people. It threatens it, not that he does it, but he tells them that. It profanes God's holy name, making God appear less than the holy God that he is, by inferring that he's a God who desires, or at least permits, child sacrifice. And I think that's an important part. Does God allow or permit child sacrifice, the killing of your children? No, he doesn't. And he makes it very clear that anybody who kills their own children for whatever reason, that he will set his face against them. So for all of you who are Christian, who think it's okay at some point to have an abortion, God tells us otherwise. It profanes his holy name, making God appear less than the holy God that he is by inferring that he's a God who desires or at least permits child sacrifice, and he's not. God knew that the practice of child sacrifice to Molech was a form of spiritual prostitution. Spiritual prostitution. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 5. God's relationship to his people is close, personal one with human anthology, sexual intimacy in marriage. And God, of course, expects the exclusive commitment of marriage, not the pick-and-choose relationship of prostitution. And that's what he's saying here, not the pick-and-choose relationship of prostitution. That's the parallel that's being given here. In Deuteronomy, God, through Moses, rejects child sacrifice, it even allegedly done in the worship and service of God himself. Now, Deuteronomy 12, 29 through 31, in reference to the nations of Canaan that Israel was about to invade and depose, and the worship of their gods, here's what Moses was commanded to say. You must not worship the Lord your God in their way, because in worshiping their gods, they do all kinds of detestable things that the Lord hates. They even burn their sons and daughters in the fire and sacrifice of their gods. They kill their own children. You must not worship the Lord your God in their way. This is a direct parallel to being in the world, but not of the world. As Christians, for those of you who are listening who are Christian, who think that abortion is in some way or some shape or form okay to do, understand this. You must worship the Lord your God in their way, because in worshiping their gods, they do all kinds of detestable things that the Lord hates. They even burn their sons and daughters in the fires as sacrifice to their gods. They're killing their own children. It is not okay to kill your own children. Now, I've given this before, and as most of you know, abortion is something that's close and near to dear to my heart. Now, I don't have a personal experience with abortion, but I do have a good understanding of what abortion is. You're killing an innocent life there. And let me say this. I said this yesterday. I say this all the time. I'm going to say it some more. I'll say it in the future. When the parents commit a crime, whether it's father-daughter, mother-son, brother-sister, cousin-nephew, neighbor, when a moral crime is committed and a pregnancy is the result, there should be some punishment for breaking that law for this crime that's been committed. Who is to pay that penalty? You know who pays the ultimate penalty? It's the baby. It's the baby who had nothing to do with it. That baby did not ask to be produced. That baby did not ask to be put here. It did not ask to be a product of rape or incest. But yet the baby pays the price because of the guilt or the crimes of the parents. The parents commit the crime. The baby pays the price. Think about that. Is that right? How would you like it if you were on that end of the stick? What if you were the product, and some of you may be the product of rape or incest? Should you have been killed because your parents committed a crime? Is that the price for you to pay? People say that abortion should be allowed in the case of incest or rape. That it should be okay for the baby to pay the price of the crimes of the parents. That baby has the right to life, no matter who or what the parents have done. This is still a creation of God, and nobody has the right to take another innocent life that way. You know, in Deuteronomy 12, with remarkable discernment, Moses recognized that an unacceptable service can sometimes begin not as a serious determination to do ungodly things, but as something to conform to the world that you're in. That's part of the reason why we're told to be in the world but not of the world. These are things that are done of the world. We as Christians are not to be of the world. Two of Moses' abominations against child sacrifice are found in the stipulation section of the treaty from Leviticus, and the more rigid covenant treaty from Deuteronomy. Now, the covenants that were made between God and Israel, the Lord expected his people to obey the civil, moral, and religious stipulations. His commandments were to be obeyed because of allegiance to his lordship and out of the sense of gratitude for his great acts of redemption. And I've talked about this many times. If you're a born-again Christian and you're saved by the blood of the cross, you owe him this. You owe him the gratitude for his act of redemption. You owe him your life. You cannot disregard the covenant or the stipulations without this being considered a serious offense. I'm telling you. We have 4 minutes left. 4 minutes left, and just like yesterday, I've got so much more I could go through. So much more that needs to be covered. I just feel like I could do a 2-hour program on this every single night and still not get through all of this, and probably not get through to all of you, because you're still going to go and have these abortions because you are of the world, not just in the world. I would suggest that you read your Bible, understand how God feels about this. Understand about the discussion that we had yesterday about this whole thing, the discussion we had about today about this whole thing. Look at how they're using this, these aborted fetuses in all of these just detestable ways. I mean, this is just detestable to take these aborted babies and use them for research. And there's a lot of people that say, well, I think that's a good thing. You know, they're dead anyway. We might as well, you know, do some research and come up with saving some other lives. We'll save more lives by the sacrifice of one. Yes, we will. Well, you know, isn't that what they were doing when they were sacrificing their children to Molech? Where they were improving the lives of others through the sacrifice of their own children? Prosperity and gain and prestige and decadence and all of these things that they were praying for, that they thought they were going to get through sacrificing their children or the children that they had bought. And what about the people that were selling their children? They were after the exact same thing. They were after wealth and more money and prestige, you know, all of these very same things. They both have the same motives. These are not God's motives. These are not things that God permits. There's a price to pay for these things. This is murder. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not kill. Kill is a translation. The original text said murder. Thou shalt not murder. All right, we're almost out of time. I've got 2 minutes left. You know, if you agree or disagree, email me at contact@wdeanshook.com. That's the email, contact@wdeanshook.com. Come to the website. Go to the video section, wdeanshook.com. Go to the video section and look at the 2 videos I have in the video section on abortion. And you'll see with your own eyes things that may actually startle you. Now, over the weekend, I'll be on at 6 p.m. instead of the usual 8. So Saturdays, 6 p.m., Sundays at 6 p.m. Please feel free to come back and join me. Come to the website. Join me on Facebook, wdeanshook.com. And like I say, you can email me anytime you like. In the meantime, let me play this song, and we'll go out with this song. Thank you so very much for everyone being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you.
You can get these full stories and more at wdeanshook.com. That's wdeanshook.com.